Fastest qualifying time is Charles Nemiot from Williams, 29:13, 13th in this event last year. Obviously looking forward to achieving that All-American status, that top 8. But as the gun goes off, we can sort of see the men starting to size each other up. Who's going to go to the front? What's this race going to look like? What's it going to feel like from the gun? Is it going to be like the women's race? Will there be a breakaway pack, or will the group stay together? Right now what we're seeing is the group is coalescing. They're out there for a stroll right now. I don't think anyone has any intention, especially after seeing the carnage that we saw in the women's race, that has to strike fear into the hearts, or at least a little bit of I don't know, a skepticism of their own ability to go out and hammer for 10K. They watched Fiona Smith do it, but they also watched her get weak in the knees after she finished, Noah. I mean, these guys just watched that field splinter into a million different pieces. But, while they're jogging, there's no better opportunity than now to go through the starting lineup of this men's 10K. Everyone deserves to hear their name over the broadcast, and I'll do my best to not lose my voice doing it. You did it in under a minute? Well, you practiced. All right, here we go. And Spencer Moon from Simpson, Tyler Schermerhorn from Wartburg, Anthony Rodriguez from now we're going to, here we go. I need to reset this after the first lap, because if I can do it in under 300 meters of their running, that'll be roughly about a minute of time. We have Charles Namiot from Williams, Gavin McElhennon from Johns Hopkins, Spencer Moon from Simpson, David Reynolds from WPI, Enrique Salazar from Manchester, Gunnar Schlender from Wisconsin Whitewater, Matthew Cole from Carnegie Mellon, Anthony Rodriguez from Babson, Mitchell Daly from RPI, Isaac Wegner from Wisconsin Lacrosse, Jacob Green from Wartburg, Connor Havens from Manchester, Tyler Schermerhorn from Wartburg, Connor Kolka from Wittenberg, Luke Wiltvliet from Calvin, Corey Fairchild from Wisconsin Lacrosse, Max Finty chilling out in the back from North Central, Simon Hayes from Wilmington, Vince Simonetti from RPI, Derek Fearon from Pomona Hetzer, and Peter Weiss from George Fox, and Matthew Porter from Carnegie Mellon. I freaking nailed that. Get out of here, Noah. What do you got on that?
That was absolutely amazing. As we see Charles Namiot from Williams, he was 13th here last year. He takes up the early lead. Like we were talking about, definitely put a little fear in these athletes, I think, seeing the carnage that occurred in the women's race. And so we'll get updated splits here as soon as they populate for us. But I'm guessing they're running about 75 seconds a lap right now. Everybody in this. One major absence here is Ethan Gregg, who we would have expected to see here, and his calling card obviously is they get to the front and drill it. And so in his absence, I think the whole field is wondering just
what do we do?
Who's going to lead this out? And I kind of expected Spencer Moon from Simpson. You see him there in the red in third. I kind of expected him to get to the front and push this pace a little bit. I think it's a smart move for him just to tuck in, because I mean he's one of the top seeds here. He's run 13:51 for 5K. He's run some great regular season results. We haven't seen him translate it into national meet performances quite yet. So this could be a great opportunity for him.
Yeah, 235 through the 800. I mean, they were probably, 310-ish, 320, 315 through the K. This is easy running for these guys. They're doing tempo runs at this pace. So not expecting anyone to fall off at this point. I really liked what Namia did there, which is like take a drink early. You don't want to find yourself in the later stages of this race succumbing to dehydration. You might as well get accustomed, if you're in the front and you have a clean shot at a water glass, take it. We know that it's going to get hot out there for these guys. The humidity is just going to keep rising. The temperature's dropping ever so slightly. We're down in the low 70s right now. But as that humidity creeps up, that's going to be the crucial, element for these guys to battle with.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the hurt is
that in 25 laps.
That in 25 laps. I mean, the hurt is coming. It's about who can delay it the longest and have enough left in their legs to really close it out. And I mean, this race is seriously wide open as we continue to see Namiot up front. The number 1 seed in this race, Max Saventi, wearing the candy stripes from North Central College. We see him in a forwards hat about mid-pack. He ran amazing. He ran 29:06. It's one of the best all time in Division III, but he's pretty content to lay back there in the middle of the pack, and that's right where I'd be, I think, right now.
Yeah, another thing I want to talk about, Lord knows we got the time, is if you were in this race, Noah, would you be in spikes or flats?
I think they're allowed to wear flats. It looks like we see some athletes in the Vaporfly. So that's probably what I'd wear. I think that's going to be the easiest thing on the legs, especially for athletes doubling back. Give yourself a chance at feeling good, especially when you know that the pace isn't going to be super quick. It's like, can you run 5-minute miles in flats on the track? Like, yeah, footwear is a legitimate thing to discuss in races now, and I think that's probably the direction I'd go.
Yeah, because in the previous race we saw Fiona and Spikes, a few of the other women who were All-Americans, they were wearing their, the road flats. Difference, obviously, in these shoes is going to be foam stack heights. Spikes being maxed out at 25 millimeters right now, where the flats are 40 mils, so you have more of that super bouncy foam underfoot. But if a consideration here is, spikes don't hold as much water. And if you're chucking water on your head and all of a sudden those shoes get waterlogged, you have done a lot more work in super shoes than I. Have you done workouts in the rain where they get wet? Does that affect the performance at all?
Sure. Their feet might be slipping around in them a little bit. I'm not sure it's something they'll be focused on too much. I love the feeling of spikes on the track, but if I have confidence that the flats are going to save my legs a little bit, I'm not thinking about the water too much.
I thought watching runners wear road shoes on the track was the dumbest thing I'd ever seen until I watched Connor Mance close the D1 10K in like 54 in Vaporflies, and I was like, oh.
Might be something
so
to it.
They can go fast. All right. I don't know. I thought they maxed out at like a 60, and no, this is, the game has changed technologically speaking, but it's interesting to see how the personal preference now comes into play.
Charles D'Amelio from Williams continues to lead this field. They came through 1,600 and just under 5:10. They ran 5:09 through 1,600, just to give you folks at home the pace they're moving at, about 76, 77 seconds per lap. Really, everybody still in this. Another athlete to kind of watch for is Gunnar Schlender there in 5th. He's got the long hair. He's a boyfriend to Fiona Smith, and so he just saw his girlfriend win a national title. He was an All-American indoors and outdoors. He was 3rd in the 10K last year. He closed really well to lock up a 3rd-place finish in a really deep year, and so he's definitely a guy who, if he can handle the heat, can do some damage in this race. Spencer Moon continues to just kind of hang out in position 3. If Spencer Moon's got to be thinking, maybe I can run this race like Fiona Smith, hang out for 7K and then drill it from the front with that sub 14-minute speed.
Yeah, these guys are, again, they're clicking it off, and you can see, unlike this race is completely different than the women's race. Everyone is in this. No one has made any aggressive moves in the front. Everyone's just very content to let the laps pass by, as are we up here. We're happy to let this race. The more people that are in the race, for us, it's the more exciting that it is. This crescendo at the end is going to be triumphant, as we're, what we just saw there in the middle of the pack, though. That's maybe one of the biggest fears, is there a fall happens and takes a lot of the athletes out or makes it fracture. But these guys are they're seasoned, they're practiced at running in groups, so I'm not super worried about it. But the only thing that would worry me is in that instance of trying to go out and get water. If someone starts to throw some elbows and we get a little bit of a kerfuffle there, we can see Derek Fearon from Pomona Pitzer starting to put those hands out, protect his space a little bit. As we're going out to lane 2, the pace has to be slowing down.
And honestly, if we're thinking that getting the water and cooling down is important, these guys are 3 wide, and you're going by the water stop. If you're riding the rail, you're not going to be able to get out to get a cup of water. And there's a limited number of volunteers. There's like 4 or 5 volunteers back there. And so if all these guys want water, they can't all get it. And so there might be a little competition at the water stop. Yeah,
it's another competitive element of this, right? It's a strategic element of this race. It's, okay, if I'm on the rail now and I missed a water cup in the last lap, then all right, I'm seeing an athlete right here sort of use the finger blinkers, as we call them, pointing that pinky out, saying, I want to get out of here and get a glass of water. And whether I get out in this lap or I have to wait until the next, I'm going to start making some moves to position myself accordingly so that I can get that drink of water. And also, there was a hopeful athlete there, and it looks like his teammates swooped up where he missed out.
Yeah.
But again, this is going to be part. We can't help but have this be a part of the race, and so how do they deal with this? How do you position yourself accordingly?
And could that be a catalyst for change up front? Could somebody just realize, hey, I've had enough of this? I want a little bit of daylight. I'm sick of running in this group. Let me go around Charles Namio, finally, who's continuing to click off 77s. I mean, metronomic. Metronomic? Metronomic.
Go with potato on that
out
one.
there, yeah. Really nothing changing in this race whatsoever. But the 10K is a saga. It builds over time to this marvelous crescendo, which is why we love it as distance runners. But every lap that goes by where nothing changes builds that anticipation that at some point something big is going to change.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's an athlete that I can't stop looking at because he's wearing a hat, and that's Mitchell Daly from RPI. He appears to be positioned perfectly, continues to get water, and yet somehow is in lane 3 on the home stretch every time. I don't know what's going on there, but he's keeping himself cool, I guess, but
yeah,
doing his damnedest to stay cool, but and maybe just moving out to try and let someone else have an opportunity. But no, these guys who are on the outside and getting the water seem content to continue to get water.
Yeah, and people will always say you want to run on the inside, you want to hug the rail, it's the shortest distance. But these guys, when they're running 5 to 5:10 per mile,
they don't care.
I guarantee you every guy in this field has done tempo runs at 5:10. They've probably done 10K tempo runs at 5:10. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, the level is so high in training these days, and so the pace isn't phasing these guys necessarily. It's just like, what's the conversion for the weather?
Yeah, I'll leave that up to the pros to tell us. Maybe Jeff Burns wants to chime in from some of the work that he's done with the USOPC and their heat and humidity chamber. But until then, and until that time, Jeff, send me a text if you're listening. We're going to go back to just get the water, cool yourself as well as you can. And, we've got Namio still up front. I think just very content to be there. I can see some flutter and starting to drop in the flags at the top of the track, and so that's leading me to believe that the wind is starting to die down out there, even as the humidity continues to rise, but not affecting these guys enough for him to not want to be up there.
Another athlete to keep an eye on here in the all green there, sitting in 4th right now, is Simon Hayes from Wilmington in Ohio. I've had him on the podcast in the past. He missed indoors, maybe an injury, maybe just running wasn't clicking, but it's great to see him back at a national meet. He was 4th here last year in a super strong run. I mean, this is a guy who's supremely talented. If he's in the race, he's dangerous. Also 33rd in cross country. Enrique Salazar there on the outside with the gold shoulders. That guy's a super tough runner as well, really competitive. I'm seeing some of the athletes in the mid pack kind of thumbs up or do the let him cook thing, and so it's kind of interesting to see athletes communicating to coaches or athletes, because like we've been saying, this pace isn't crazy. It's just like you're building a tinderbox and somebody's going to strike a match.
Yeah, 75s isn't going to phase anybody. We just keep clicking off those laps, lap after lap after lap, and the hope, right, is like at some point here sometime soon, someone is going to think, what do you think, 5K?
Yeah.
They're just waiting to get halfway.
Yeah, well, I think we'll probably see a move around 5K.
I mean, if not from one of the favorites, from someone who's like maybe one of the lacking any, whom we haven't given any attention, who's like, you know what, I feel pretty good. This is my shot.
Yeah.
And I'm going to shoot it. And again, now here we're starting to see guys go out to lane 3, lane 4. The lacrosse athletes.
And we're seeing a stretch here. We're starting to see single file at the back of the pack. Maybe a stretch. It's hard to tell.
I think we're starting. All right, we got the Wartburg athlete smiling, his tongue's out. He's having the time of his life. I hope he feels that way in about 7 laps.
Yeah, Schermerhorn, he was the one. He was the one doing like the let me cook thing, as the kids do these days. But it's another 75 up front for Charles Namio from Williams. That's a super strong distance program. We've seen a lot of great names come through there.
Honest question. Does it help in these conditions to have ice in your veins?
I think so. I haven't seen anyone do the ice in the veins thing yet, but I'm sure it's coming.
I mean, could that not be the biggest flex that you could do on, of mid-race peacocking?
We'll see it for sure. I think I'm seeing Fearon, the Sage Hens. I think he's got a nasal strip on, which is ambitious because those things aren't sticking in conditions like this.
Yeah, I have no idea. All I know is that he's not only fantastic at running, he's incredibly handsome and incredibly smart. So
go Sage Hens.
Go Sage Hens. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with him. He's perfect.
Charles Namio continuing to push out front in 75s. Nothing changing here. I'm going to let you guys just sit with Will's commentary. Gavin McKellen from Johns Hopkins has been in second the whole time. It's really remarkable that everyone just found their spot and they were like, you know what?
I'm good.
I like it here. This is what I like.
This suits me.
Yeah, we're not. This suits me. We're not seeing guys move inside to outside. We're just seeing them kind of slot in there. Number 1 seed in the candy stripes in the back, Max Saventi. It's too early to tell if he's in some trouble or just, wants some clear real estate. But, I mean, he's still in the pack.
Yeah, and ever since you mentioned Simon Hayes wearing the all green from Wilmington.
Are we hitting 5K right now?
Yes. Yep. So just under 16 minutes at 5K. Pedestrian.
Yeah.
To put it mildly.
Well within the range of everybody in this field. I mean, it took, 29:40, 29:52 was the last qualifier in.
Sorry, ever since you mentioned Simon Hayes, I'm paying attention because I trust your commentary. I trust the amount of research and your experience with these athletes.
Thanks, Will.
But he moves really well, and he's attentive, he's focused, he's not doing any of the, I'll call it, stupid stuff. He's not showing his cards. He's not saying how great he feels. He's just being in the right place.
For sure.
And positioned appropriately in the outside of lane 1. He's grabbed water a couple of times. But an athlete like that with those credentials, I think, that was a 73. Okay, so maybe we're seeing something here. Maybe we're not. Maybe we are. What do you see?
We'll give it one more lap. 73, that's an injection of pace. I mean, maybe Namio is starting to respond to some of that pressure. Jacob Green from Wartburg has kind of worked his way up. I misidentified him earlier, so sorry for the Wartburg fans. That's Jacob Green out there. Man, Simon Hayes, he is drenched. Just dumping all that water. But
he heard you. He just looked. He's like, yeah, I am.
Yeah, he's
what
like,
of it?
He's like, dude, leave me alone.
It'd be like that sometimes.
It'd be like that. But continuing to be 3 wide here, past the 5K mark, and I mean, they definitely saw that 5K split. That's what you pay attention to in the 10K. But also, some of these guys are probably realizing that a 16-minute 5K didn't feel as easy as they had hoped. And that can be a dangerous realization when you've got so far to go and the race really hasn't even started.
Did Max lose the hat?
Max did lose the hat. Yeah, you can see.
All right, that's how you know.
Yeah, you can see his hair going.
If we were on a different network, I'd start using some choice 4-letter words, but it's getting real.
It's
when you start losing.
It's getting real.
When you lose your pieces of flair, when you're chucking those, a running hat costs about $30. So if you're willing to just throw that thing aside for a lucky fan to pick up, drenched in your sweat, that's just a sign to me that this is going to start to get moving here pretty soon. We're starting to see a little bit of daylight here between some athletes. They don't want to get caught behind the guys who might not be able to cover these moves. And maybe this is just, again, this is what's happening with the accordion as they're going in and out of these water zones.
And we're seeing our very first lead change here, nearly 6K. I think 6K into this race, we're finally seeing Jacob Green, who was lurking back and forth. He was even mid-pack earlier, and he's now kind of asserting himself at the front. Just saw him shake the arms out a little bit. Namio's there in third. He's still looking pretty good. And now Schirmerhorn from Wartburg, he wants to join his teammate up front. What a moment for Wartburg here now, seeing their teammates go 1-2. Saw a little flash of this thumbs up here, and it's going to be Green and Schirmerhorn from Wartburg from Iowa out there right next to each other, moving this field along through the men's 10,000 meter run.
Wartburg, assemble!
He didn't quite like the shoulder. He decided, Green, I'm gonna let you continue to push this, and I'm just gonna kind of slot in behind you.
Yeah, you can see now that we're running. You can tell that by the cadence. You can tell that by that we're starting to lose some athletes in the back. We're high-fiving the water cups at this point. We're not grabbing them as gracefully. We're getting anything that we can. Milliliters in the mouth, most on the body. But we're starting to chip away here at this pack. Obviously, Derek Fearon and all of his perfection, he's still up there, as is Max Saventi without a hat. easier to identify him with a hat, but the candy stripes will do just fine. Curious to see if any other moves are made soon. There's a lot of these guys who don't have the 5K chops, right? Mm-hmm. Who don't have the mile chops, who are just like pure strength type of runners. And I think that here in the next lap or two, someone's going to try and make some pretty aggressive moves.
Yeah, we've got a couple sub 14-minute guys up at the front there. I think 8 or 9 guys went under 14 in the 5K and D3 this outdoor season, which is just insane. We'll talk about that more on Saturday. But Wartburg continuing to press Schermerhorn, one of those sub 14 guys. But I'm still liking Spencer Moon. I think he's motivated. He knows he's underperformed on the national stage in the past. And he's, representative of that Simpson program. He's putting them on the map, and so it'll be really interesting to see here if he decides to make a move. Salazar from Manchester is he's a real hot-blooded competitor. I've talked to him in the past, and I know how much of this means to him. I wouldn't be surprised to see him make the mark on the race, too. We're getting down to crunch time. The kickers are probably still hanging out if there are any kickers left in this race in these conditions. But if you want to make your mark on the race, you're starting to run out of real estate here as we click past 21 minutes.
We're coming up on 2 miles to go. We are starting to see some cracks. We've got an obvious front four. Max Venti, there's daylight between him and the perfection that is Derek Fearon from the Pomona Pitzer College. I am shocked to see this, Noah.
And now we see Isaac Wegner from Wisconsin Lacrosse. Such a strong distance program there. They've really established themselves as one of the best in the country, and he now establishes himself at the front of the race. And who's responding but Spencer Moon right in his back pocket. The duo from Wartburg being distanced by just about a meter. It's an interesting, there's team dynamics starting to happen up here with 2 Lacrosse in the top 5, 2 Wartburg in the top 5. I mean, how motivating is it when you see a teammate up there going at it just like practice?
When they're going to war, they want some company. So this is exactly what I would expect to see here. I do think that there are some pretty aggressive. This is the aggressive move that I was talking about. Yeah. I mean, you're starting to see this thing fracture wide open, and who knows if these athletes are going to be able to hold this, but this is where you make or break the race. If you can cover the move and you can hold it. Simon Hayes, the man that we've been talking about from early on in this race, covering this gap, and here comes the duo from Wartburg.
Absolutely. This is the race now, Will. It is fully on. We're now running 72s per lap, and I'd bet
that was a 68.
That was a 68. Yeah, all right. Isaac Wegner takes the lead at 7,200, comes through in 68. The race is fully on now. Spencer Moon is up for it. Simon Hayes is up for it. Schermerhorn and Green are right there, too. This is your everyone in the All-American pack was on your screen right there. Your top seed, Max Saventi, doesn't look like he's going to be up for it. Conditions may be getting to him a little bit. Never say never, but you see him back in the screen. Gunnar Schlinder also going to the arms there. Because right now, maybe if you were asleep, you realized, oh, wait, the move happened and I might have missed it.
And now what do I do?
Because it's hard to make
the
up
move,
this ground.
do I try and cover that? How many laps am I going to allow myself to cover that? I'm seeing All-American spots disappear into the abyss, into the humid abyss of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. There are 9 contestants for 8 All-American spots. We have got 6 laps to go here in this men's 10,000. Isaac Wegner, all by himself up front, maybe looking for a little bit of help from his teammate, Corey Fairchild, back there in about 6th. But let me run you through the athletes up front right now. We have Wegner, Moon, Hayes, Schermerhorn, Green, Fairchild, and Salazar. Those make up your All-American spots with... I'm seeing a change here. Mitchell Daly, I don't know if that's correct or not. I don't think that's the appropriate athlete. But that rounds out your All-Americans. And so the big move came with a 68, and now we've sort of settled into the 70 range up front where, as we saw with Fiona in the women's race, break the race open and then maybe relax a little bit because you got to recharge the batteries. This is taking a lot out of the athletes.
You were right about Daly. He's in there. So he's definitely a threat. He's moving along with Salazar right now. Salazar just losing a step to him. Wegner continue moving along in about 440 per mile pace.
What are we seeing with Mitchell Daly right now? Mitchell Daly has made some absolutely incredible moves from about I don't know, 7 positions behind this lead 4. He's closed the gap. He's sitting in 5th. This is the most inspired run that we have seen so far today. The move made by Wegner splintered open this race, and now Mitchell Daly from RPI has clawed his way back to the front of that group. Now if I'm Mitchell Daly, I got to keep this momentum going. Keep going, man.
I mean, just like we said, he's one of those guys who probably realized he missed the move, and he did something about it. Whatever happens from here, that's a great move from Mitchell Daly from RPI. He latches on to the pack in 5th. Still, nobody wanting to go around Wegner just yet. And we see the athletes starting to ignore the water at this point. Water's not going to help you. It's crunch time. There's 5 laps to go.
You don't need water, boys. You need Jesus.
Wegner continued to push.
You needed water yesterday.
You needed water yesterday. Simon Hayes in the all green from Wilmington looks awesome. They're starting to move to the shoulder. We'll see if he goes around. The guy I've been hyping up, Spencer Moon, continues to look super strong. They're 13:51 for 5K. Let's see what these guys have in their legs. Daly continues to look super strong. It's Schermerhorn in 5th. Green giving a little bit of ground. Another guy who's moving up is Salazar from Manchester.
And the perfection of Derek Fearon is in 12th. He's passed, now he's in 11th. He needs 3 more positions to get into All-American. Come on, Pomona Pitzer, let's go Sage Hens. Sorry.
You're forgiven. You're forgiven. That was your last outburst, though, before we throw you out. Isaac Wegner continues to push. That was a 72-second last lap. Simon Hayes looks like he may be getting a little antsy, but at this point, you might as well just wait a little bit. When they come around, they'll see 4 to go. Yeah, nobody needs this water here. That front group of 6 has separated themselves pretty clearly. We'll see if
Schermerhorn.
We'll see if Salazar can get up there, but Schermerhorn, the young man from Wartburg, listed as a sophomore, sub 14 minutes in the 5K. He says,
he's putting the hammer down, Noah.
Anything you can do, maybe I can do a little better, and he's injected the pace. We'll see who's up for it now. Wegner's starting to fall back in the pack.
And Mitchell Daly, the people's champion from RPI, hanging on by a thread behind Wegner. Get around him, Big Daddy. Let's go. Schermerhorn goes to the front. What an incredible injection of pace. You can see by the elongation of that beautiful stride. Hayes trying to match him, but daylight opening between. And here's your boy in 3rd, looking good.
Spencer Moon looking really strong. I believe we're under 800 meters to go in this men's 10,000 meter race. Schermerhorn made a big move. We'll see if he can sustain it. But Simon Hayes running the race of his life in 2nd. Spencer Moon finally putting the demons of national meets past to rest. He's looking really strong in 3rd. We'll see who has another gear. I'm wondering if Schermerhorn has another gear or if that was it. These 2 athletes behind him looking super strong. Green from Wartburg sees his teammate pressing the pace, and he's hanging on in 4th. The people's champ Daly in 5th. Wegner, who made that initial move, looks like he's in 6th.
Schermerhorn opening up a gap here with Spencer Moon taking that inside pass. Simon Hayes, I don't know why he's leaving that door open, but maybe he's looking for the ride of his life. Schermerhorn really putting the gas down now. They're saying this is 2 laps to go.
This is
800 meters remaining. We are not into the full-fledged kick just yet. I do believe all the athletes counted those laps correctly. Simon Hayes in 3rd. Still, for my money, looks pretty good. That would be a bet that I would take. Mitchell Daly, come on, Big Daddy, the people's champion. He has now moved into 4th, but it is all Schermerhorn down the backstretch. He's put 3, 4, 5 meters into this field. Can he hold this pace? Simon Hayes in 3rd. Again, the gap's continuing to grow amongst those top 3, but at this point, if there's a wind, take that caution, throw it straight into it. The race is on. Let's go, Schermerhorn. 600 meters to go.
Schermerhorn, 600 to go. I saw him grab a cup of water. Spencer Moon continuing to have eyes on him. Schermerhorn cannot break the elastic. He's tried once, he's tried twice, he has not shooken Spencer Moon or Simon Hayes. They're still in there. Simon Hayes beginning to give 1 meter, maybe 2 meters. Spencer Moon kind of taking an eye on the inside. Schermerhorn.
Here goes Moon.
And now Spencer Moon looking to take the lead when it matters, but he can't quite get around. It's another move from Schermerhorn. They hear the bell. They hear the bell. They hear the bell. Schermerhorn from Wartburg in the lead with 3:50 to go, but Spencer Moon right in his back pocket. This is going to be a kick down the home stretch.
That was the runnings version of the Dikembe Mutombo finger wag from Schermerhorn. You want to go around me? Not so fast, not like this. Spencer Moon, though, I do feel as though his turbo is charging up right now. It is spooling under the hood as he is chomping at the bit. Here goes to the arms. Spencer Moon with a definitive move around the outside, burying Schermerhorn with 200 meters to go.
Schermerhorn, does he have a response? Schermerhorn has gone so many times, but it looks like Spencer Moon from Simpson, from Iowa, takes the lead. He's having the race of his life. He looks over his shoulder. He's under 100 meters to go. He's finally done it. He's finally done it. Spencer Moon from Simpson has finally had the race of his life at a national meet, and he is your 10,000 meter champion. Stop looking around. This is your moment, Spencer Moon.
Schermerhorn's legs are falling apart as he goes across the finish line. There's Simon Hayes, and here comes a people's champion, Mitchell Daly from RPI.
And then it's going to be Green in fifth. He's happy with that. Wegner, who initiated this race, across the line in sixth. Salazar in seventh. And then eighth, I think it's going to be Charles Namio, who led the first 6K of this race. He holds on for an All-American spot. Well deserved. Wow.
What a finish to that 10K. As you said, this is a saga. This was building. It took, 20 laps for something meaningful to happen? But that's okay. We got to tell the story of this race. That was an absolutely... Wegner made the race. Moon finished it off. Schermerhorn, body blow, body blow, body blow. Simon, Spencer Moon,
Haymaker.
Haymaker.
Haymaker from Spencer Moon. I mean, I can't wait to talk to Spencer Moon after this and just see what this race means to him. Coming to national meets with fast times, he hasn't quite been able to put it together, but he left, no doubt about it. Tyler Schermerhorn deserves so much credit. He made, 4 or 5 moves in the last K.
That was,
and just ran
I think
out of legs.
When you have a Spencer Moon behind you and he tries to go around, you have one thing to do, and that's just try and fight. Try and fight him off, because otherwise his speed was obviously too much to overcome. He's also got years. He's got experience. He's got fuel in that fire. That tank is deep. But let's just go back through these All-American positions again. Spencer Moon is your national champion. Tyler Schermerhorn is your runner-up. Simon Hayes rounds out the podium. The people's champion, Mitchell Daly, in 4th. Jacob Green in 5th. Isaac Wegner in 6th. Enrique Salazar in 7th. And Charles Namio rounds out the All-American positions in 8th. What a race. Charles Namio closed in 66 seconds. The only person to close faster than Charles Namio, Spencer Moon.
Spencer Moon with just dipping under 65 seconds for a close in a race like that. 30-41 takes the win. Man, so many different... I feel like every one of those top 8 positions had a unique storyline in that race. They all